having functionality to lock the system, to a date or a period for the reporting requirements that need to be in place? Did I come through?
Oh, sorry, my apologies, man. There was an interruption. Can you kindly, I heard the last part of your question. I'm not sure if my colleagues had the question. Sanisha, if you can assist, if you had the question, my apologies. There was an interruption here. I couldn't.
Yes, I also didn't get that.
Okay, so...
Yeah. Okay, continue.
Yeah, my question was linked to ensuring that if we have to report, for instance, for the mid-year cycle by the end of July, that as producers will our PROs are going to do that on our behalf. But it's also in our best interest to be aware should they miss timelines. So I was asking if there is functionality in the system to lock the system. So if the cutoff date for this midterm reporting is 31st of July this year, will our PROs be able to load post the due date? Because I'm just worried that we don't want to, as producers, sit with the understanding that there is compliance to the timelines and then later find out that there wasn't. So is there that functionality in the system, or at this point we're not really worried about meeting timelines?
Okay, so we have built in a function for the PRO to indicate the period for which they are reporting when they submit their report, so that we can see whether they are within or outside the timelines. We have not built in a function to lock, so we won't stop them from reporting if they are late, but we will be able to see that the report is coming in late. As the producer, when you log in, you will be able to see that a particular report has been submitted by a PRO and you've been reported on. Hope that answers your question. Thanks.
Sorry, Jerry is taking a call from BPM. I see there's a hand from Michelle. You can have the floor, ma'am.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. I did post my question in the chat, but I kind of worried that we're running out of time, so I thought I'd just ask it. I perhaps missed what was said just now, so please excuse my ignorance. What is the purpose of registering twice, i.e. both as a brand owner and an importer?
Okay, so I was just explaining from a systems perspective that you can actually register multiple times because that's how the system is built. It's linked to a particular type of registration. But maybe Jerry wants to come in here in terms of in the producer or the line of producers, how it should be handled. We don't want multiple fees to be charged or multiple registrations on the same product. Thanks.
Sorry, Jerry, I think he's just stepped out quickly. We can hack it, but my understanding is that if you are a brand owner of different products that falls within different sectors, you will have to get different registrations because those would be managed by the different PROs in case you align with the PROs. So I think there's a valid reason to register, especially where you have the different sectors and you are a producer of those sectors, products for those sectors. But we'll also flag it again when he returns to the meeting. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like some more clarity on that. Thank you.
Debbie Wang.
Hi, sorry, I was having connectivity issues. Just a follow-up question. Hypothetically, if we're an importer of a product, sorry, I did miss some of the workshop. I had to attend another conference, but if we are an importer and we also sell under a specific brand name, we've already registered in all three sectors. Does it mean we need to register in again for the all three sectors as a brand owner?
The last one was in Pick and Pay, pharmacy, or Pick and Pay Douglasdale, or Westpac Lifestyle, or the other one would be.
Sorry,
so Pick and Pay was 45 rands 99. Westpac was 140.
Sorry, so I do apologize for confusing you all, but I did miss some of the workshop due to another conflict meeting. But I just wanted to just gain clarity with the follow-up question with, I think it was Michelle that previously spoke to say that the brand owners also need to register in all three sectors. Am I correct?
90 rands on the
yes, and my colleague responded that that's how the system is built, that if you are registering as a owner for products that are for different sectors, you'll have to register, because even our reference sequence, if you are in lighting,
John, you muted.
oh, my apologies, I'm busy talking. I didn't realize that I'm muted. Now, I was saying that, like my colleague indicated earlier, if you have, if you are a brand owner for products that would appear in more than one sector, you'll have to register them individual, because even our referencing sequence that the system issues to the producers and PROs has specific sector sequence. For example, if you're registering for lighting, there is a sequence that the system generates, that user identity or reference number. So if you're brand owner for lighting, you'll get a registration for lighting. And if you also have products that falls within the paper and packaging sector, you'll also have that registration, unfortunately. Thanks. And I think that's how my colleague indicated.
Oh, for the...
All right, thank you very much. But if we're an importer now, am I understanding correctly that because we're also an importer, we also need to register for all three sectors? Is that correct?
Sorry?
If you are importing products from the lighting sector and then you are importing products from the electrical sector, you will have to register in both those sectors in order for the reporting to be done. And the targets are sector specific, so you have to register in both sectors if you are importing both kinds of products from both sectors. Thanks.
Thanks, Sanisha, for.
Sorry, Sanisha, I've got connectivity issues. Sorry, technology is failing me today. Could you please repeat that?
Okay, so Debbie, if you are importing lighting products, for example, and then you are also importing electrical products, you will have to register in the lighting sector, and you will also have to register in the electrical sector.
Okay, so in essence, if we are a brand owner for all three sectors and an importer in all three sectors, we have to register 6 times, in essence.
Jerry, maybe you can come in on the brand owner importer. If it's the same producer, if it's the same product, then they won't have to register as the brand owner and the importer, right?
Yes, you're right, Sanisha. If you register as a brand owner for that particular product, then okay, for example, let me put it like this. If you register as an importer first for the particular product, I mean, and you are also a brand owner, I think that you should stick with your initial registration as a brand owner, because to avoid this thing of double reporting for the same product.
Thank you very much. But in terms of if ever DFFE needs to or audit us, and we are both a brand owner importer, how would that work? I just wanted some clarity regarding that.
Remember, ma'am, we're saying, for example, you are an importer of a particular product and you are the one placing that product on the market. In terms of the definition, you are registered as an importer. Then now your registration will remain an importer. So then you don't need then to register as a brand owner for the same product for which you registered as an importer. So then to avoid this double reporting, we will accept your registration as an importer, and will be then issued, like what my colleague said, with a unique reference number for a registration as an importer of that particular product.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Nothing further from me.
Okay. So I see, colleagues, there's a couple of questions from, I think I see your hand is up, Nomthandazo, and there's also Floris. Maybe let's start with you, Floris, then from there, Nomthandazo. Then I think, colleagues, we need to move on and go to the EPR related EPR implementation or EPR implementation related questions, if we are all covered with the system related questions. Over to you, Nomthandazo, then you can go ahead with the question.
Thank you. I just want to get some clarity on the packaging aspects. For instance, I am in the electronic sector. However, there was an understanding that if you import and you import packaging which is in the excess of certain amount, then you need to register in the packaging sector as well. So can you clarify if that information is true?
Yes, Nomthandazo, that information is true. There's a threshold there in the packaging notice for producers, even though maybe like you correctly indicated you are in the electrical and electronic sector, but then you also have we also deal with packaging material that exceeds that target. Then now you need also to register under the paper and packaging sector as well. Then the next question, I think, I'm not sure if you answered Nomthandazo before we move to Floris.
Yes, thanks. And what is a threshold? Where do we find the thresholds?
It is in the amendment regulations of the 5th of May 2021.
Thank you.
Yeah, could find it there. Thanks.
Yeah.
Then Floris, I see your hand is up. You may continue, sir.
Thank you very much. So it's me again. And again, I wasn't in the first session. I was just asked to sit into this session. The question I have is just based on internal communique that was sent in our organization, which is Vodacom. So the understanding is from the regulation, if you're a producer that's an importer and you're now going to report on equipment brought into the market, does that include equipment used by you as the producer yourself as well, or is it just those equipment that we actually sell to our customers and that we call customer premised equipment? It's equipment that sits on customer premises.
Thanks, Floris, for that question. And my colleagues would add if maybe I missed something. Remember, you only report on the products that you placed on the market, in means of the product that you sell. So then, if there's I'm not sure. Then, if you import a product, then you don't put it on the market. If you'll be required to report on that, maybe my colleagues can assist there. I'm not sure if Sharon, you can also assist. I mean, with a response to that question, or just to add.
Yeah, so just to make sure that we understand what you're asking, you are a producer who places a product on the market, and that product falls within the scope of the extended producer responsibility, then yes, you have to then report on those products that you placed on the market. So yeah, unless you are referring to other products that you are not directly responsible for. So maybe you can clarify.
Okay, yeah, so let me just clarify. So let's say we import 200 tons of equipment in a particular year. 100 of those get sold to the customers, and 100 tons is for own use of us as a service provider. Does that additional 100 tons also, because it doesn't get put onto the market, it just gets used internally in the organization?
Yes, so we do not look at where the product ends. What we oblige you as a producer based on the products that you put on the market. And those would be the products, let's say, for example, that falls under the electrical and electronic equipment. So all of the products that you put on the market, regardless of who uses it, whether it's you or someone else.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Sharon, and thanks also, Floris. Colleagues, I think we need to move on to the next item. I'm not sure if we all covered on the system-related questions. Just
we can move to the regulatory part. Thanks.
Yes. No, thanks, Donald, for that, and thanks also to Yanni and the team, Ravi, for the presentation. Colleagues, now we can move on to the question related to the implementation of the EPR regulations. Colleagues, like we indicated when we started the meeting, that in our last workshop, there were a lot of questions that were asked on the regulatory side, of the EPR implementation. So then we decided then now to use this platform to respond to those questions. I'm not sure in terms of the approach now, how would you want us to deal with that? You want us to go straight to the questions, or because I had prepared a quick presentations that would also assist those who maybe might not have been there in the first workshop, so that after that quick presentation, then from there we take those EPR regulations implementation related questions. Do this quick presentation, colleagues, then from there we'll take questions. Just one moment, I'm loading the presentation. I'm not sure if you can see my screen, colleagues. Can you see the screen?
We can.
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes,
okay, thanks. Yes.
Just put on slide mode.
Okay, thank you. Quickly put it on slide mode. Yes. Colleagues, I'll just do a quick presentation before we take questions on the EPR regulations. Just a quick background, colleagues, in terms of this process. Most of us might be aware that in 2019 December, Minister embarked on a process to implement the EPR. As we all know that previously we were pursuing the Section 28 process. Then in 2019 a decision was taken, then now to pursue the EPR process. That was a decision of the minister. Then what happens then, there was extensive consultation with the sector, which then those consultations then culminated in the EPR regulations being published by minister on the 5th of November 2020. And then, but the effective date for those regulations was then deferred to the 5th of May 2021 through a notice that was published by minister on the 15th of January 2021. Then now, just a quick snapshot of the regulations. The regulations that were published by minister on the 5th of November 2020 and the subsequent amendment on the 5th of May 2021 has got the following. This a quick snapshot of the regulations. We have got definitions, purpose, application, registration, and up until penalties. which is number 13 there. Then again, on the purpose, colleagues, the purpose of these regulations, that is the extended producer regulations, is to provide a framework for the development, implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of the EPR by producers in terms of Section 18 of the Act, that is the Waste Act. And again, it's also to ensure effective and efficient management of the identified products at the end of their lives. For example, the identified products in this case are referring to paper and packaging, EE and lighting, as well as EE and lighting, yes, those three products that have been identified by Minister to date. And again, the purpose again of this regulation is to ensure and enable the implementation of the circular economy. Then now the regulations then puts obligations or impose obligations on PROs, which I think I'll quickly highlight those key obligations that PROs need to sort of comply with. The first one is to develop and maintain a system to collect EPR fees. In terms of the regulations, the PROs that implement schemes on behalf of the producers are required to collect the EPR fees from the producers. And as Mr. Mkwena indicated in the morning, we before the cutoff date of the 5th of November 2021, we received about 10 proposed EPR fees from different PROs, and those EPR fees have been, if I may use the word, approved, and also and the letters were sent to those PROs by Minister. Then another requirement was that the PROs must also maintain a register of its members. They must also conduct internal and external financial audits, which is one of the reports that need to be uploaded on the system. Like I indicated, that especially the financial audit report is the one that should be made public by the PRO. Again, the PRO on behalf of the producers must also collect, record, and manage and submit data to the service. We have shown you the system, how the data is submitted to the service. That's what Ravi was presenting. Then again, the PROs as well must also contract with downstream value chain for services needed. Yes, remember the PROs, I mean, we have got recyclers, we've got waste pickers. There's a quite number of actors or role players down the value chain that the PRO has to contract through a fair and a transparent process. Then again, we also have another obligation for the PRO, that is to cooperate with all municipalities in the implementation of EPR to ensure that there's a recovery of identified products from municipal waste. Then another obligation for EPROs is to make sure that they integrate the informal waste collectors or recyclers, or sorry, informal waste collectors or reclaimers or pickers into the post-consumer collection value chain. And then they also need to develop and establish the secondary market for recycled content. Then again, there's also an obligation to utilize the existing and new infrastructure across EPR schemes. Again, there's also another requirement from the side, I mean, on the side of the PRO, that is they need to also compensate the informal sector for the environmental service that they are doing, and that compensation will kick off from November this year. Then again, there's also responsibility with regards to transformation, and then the focus thereof should be on small business and entrepreneurship. Then now coming to the EPR fee that the PRO or the producer must submit to the minister for minister's consideration. The regulation specifies that the PROs together with their members, that is the producers, must determine the fee and apply the fee proportionally to all members based on the identified product placed on the market. And again, the regulation also specifies that the fee must be publicly available on the PRO website. Then now, coming now to the administration cost, which we also saw when Raf was presenting, there was a field there that talks to administration cost. Then now the administration cost has been limited for year one of implementation, that is year 22. The administration cost is at 20% of the EPR fee, but the administration cost should only cover three areas, which is the salaries, overhead costs as well as IT and systems. Then coming now to the performance of the scheme. The regulations makes provision for the EPR scheme to be reviewed at 5-year intervals by the department. However, the department may also review the EPR scheme based on its performance. It could be earlier than the 5 years that are stipulated above. Then again, the PRO or the producer that establish or implement their own scheme may also approach the department earlier if they are unable to achieve the targets, or maybe there's an overachievement of the targets. And again, then there's also provisions for offenses. You can see the offenses there. The first one that I can highlight is the 4.1 there, which you see there, which talks to registration. I saw there were a lot of questions about late registration, which means late registration, unfortunately, it's a non-compliance with regulation 4.1 of the EPR regulations. Now, these are penalties, colleagues, that would apply in the event that there is an offence that has been committed. Then now, I will touch briefly, colleagues, on the implementation challenges that we have. You see the slide that I'm showing in the moment here. It talks about non-compliance with the regulations. There have been a number of non-compliance with the regulations that are also indicated in the slide that I showed before this one. Yes, but what needs to be noted is that we are engaging with our enforcement unit to deal with non-compliances, and at the same time, we also have forums like this one to assist PROs and producers, or rather to bring them into compliance. Then we also acknowledge that in terms of the awareness regarding these regulations, maybe as we all know that we were slowly coming out from this COVID-19 pandemic, which made which limited engagement with the sector to a certain extent. But now, in order to make up for that, we organized all these workshops and sometimes even bilaterals with the PROs and producers to try and close the gaps that might be there. This is what I indicated, colleagues, in terms of registration. Registration was for the period of 6 months for all producers that were in existence when Minister published the regulations on the 5th of May 2021. Then all producers and PROs were given an opportunity to register within 6 months through a note by Minister through a notice in the Gazette. This applies to both PROs and producers. Then now coming to this point, when it comes to, because I saw there were a lot of questions on the chat box regarding late registration. I also responded briefly to what is the status at the moment. Remember, colleagues, late registration, as I indicated, it's an offense in terms of the regulations. But what we're doing now, the department has embarked on a sort of a condonation process, and then which means that, but before we could make a decision on that one, we sent out communication to all the late registration, or to all those producers and PRO that registered late to provide us with reasons for their late registrations. Then we have considered those reasons, and now we're about to conclude that process, meaning you'll be receiving communication from the department on the status of late registration. The communication will be sent individual to each and every producer that provided us with reasons for their late registration. Then this one, I won't dwell much on this one, colleagues. This is one of some of the solutions that we are coming up with, but then I won't dwell much. But I think I touched briefly on it, especially when it comes to the awareness workshops that, like the one that we have now, and the bilateral engagements, and again, the issue of we're in the process now of somehow initiating a project to develop a guideline that would assist PROs and even and producers to implement the EPR. So I think that's it briefly, colleagues, in terms of the the EPR regulations. I think we can now then move on to to take questions on the EPR regulations implementation. Thank you. Oh, sorry. My apologies, colleagues. I was muted. My apologies. I see there's hands up there. The first hand is Nomtandazo. Nomtandazo, over to you, ma'am. You may ask your question. We'll take the first. Yes.
Thank you. I'm just seeking clarity on the process of condonation. For instance, it seemed to be taking rather long. How is this impacting or likely to impact on the reporting per se? Because without this, we cannot have the lock-in detail. So how much longer is it likely to take, or are we likely to receive any feedback from the DFFE on the lock-in details?
Okay, no, thanks, Nomtandazo. We'll respond to your question. Maybe let's first take the next three questions. I see there's three hands up. And the next one is Ngetisa. Ngetisa, you may.
I dropped my note on the chat box, but the last year when these regulations were enforced, there was a lot of scramble between us as producers trying to register first and then later on to get PROs to register through PROs. Now, post that, there has been a process in place where PROs had to submit their plans to the regulators so that those can be approved. Now, that puts us as producers in limbo, because if you've registered with the PRO on time, but now a business plan is not approved later on. So what are the implications of that? What is the expectation? Is the expectation that as producers we have to now quickly deregister from one PRO and find another PRO that has got an approved plan? Can you just clarify on that?
Thanks, Ngetisa. I will respond to your question. Then the next question is Henry. Henry, you may take the floor, sir.
Thank you very much. Just a question with regards to when a brand owner has engaged already and has put enterprise development in place for recyclers or waste collectors, and planning to do so during the future. Will this be brought in consideration? Can such funds be deducted from the EPR fee? If I can just have your view on that.
Thanks, Henry. Then we can move to the next question. Michelle.
Thank you. I have two questions. The first one relates to the DFFE's focus. Particularly, my question is around timelines, and how at what point is the DFFE going to be managing around timelines those producers who haven't registered at all? My second question is, will the DFFE be helping both producers and PROs to manage the downstream in terms of recyclers and waste pickers? Will they also be limited to a PRO so as to avoid any kind of double dipping?
Oh, thanks, Michelle. Thanks for the questions. Maybe before we continue, let me request Mr. Mkwena to assist with maybe if still in this meeting, to assist maybe with some of the responses to the questions. Over to you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Sibande, for the opportunity, and to the ladies and gentlemen for the questions raised. I'll respond to a few. For instance, the one on the registering from one PRO that has late registration to another that has registration that is in order. We didn't want to dictate as a department to say you must deregister and register with the correct one, but it becomes that open to the producer side to decide what option will work best for your circumstances. So we don't want to recommend any registration and deregistration in that instance. But a critical question linked to that is that one of the condonation process. We have looked at an approach where we were looking at a type of condonation that was going to be sort of more category or group in nature versus a condonation that is specific to your own application and your own registration. So we're currently working on the responses to your applications for registration and condonations for your specific application. Hence, because of the numbers and the volumes of these applications, there are some bit of delays with the amount of time that each step during the evaluation process in the different stages within the department need to look at. But we are working on that. Was it yesterday? Where we were also inquiring with some of our colleagues where the process is currently being looked at. But we are working on specific response to your specific condonation applications, more especially if you've responded to that warning letter or requests electronically for you to give reasons for your late registration. So you should expect feedback in terms of what the situation is on your application. But depending on the reasons, there shouldn't be any reasons to worry on the reasons that you have provided for your late registration. Any other question that maybe one can look at? I've spoken to the condonation as well as the movements in between the registered and unregistered PROs. There was a question on the fees. Again, the credits is like any account where upon a member registering with a particular PRO, the start date, the effective date, and how much the member's account has on the PRO side is something we would want to leave to the PRO and the producer as well to say how do you adjust those figures to align with your conditions or circumstances, depending on what situation you do want to correct through the adjustments that you'll be doing between the producer and the PRO. But it is practical and it is doable. It's just that because it's at that level of detail, we don't want to say do it this way, because it's largely in terms of the contract between yourselves to say this producer and the PRO, this is your arrangement, this is your agreement, how you your plan dealing with the finances as well. Let me pause there for now, Chair. Thank you, and over to you.
Thanks, Mr. Mkwena, for those responses. There was also, I'm not sure, Mr. Mkwena, if you will be able to assist with this one. There was also a question from Michelle, where she asked if the DFFE, how will DFFE assist to manage the downstream value chain? I'm not sure if you'd be able to assist on that one. Then there was also another question from Henry. I'm not sure if I heard him correctly, but I think in a way he wanted to ask if like I think they are a brand owner and they have been involved in some enterprise development. Then prior to these regulations, if I'm not mistaken, then he wanted to find out if would that be considered, whatever work that they have done in terms of enterprise development outside the EPR scheme, would that be considered in a way? That's the question I think he asked. I'm not sure if Mr. Mkwena, you would want to assist with some responses to those two questions. Thanks.
No problem. Thanks a lot, Chair. Yes, if there is SMME support and work that started before dispensation, you're welcome to continue working on that and report on that. Largely because we encourage the support and the participation of the downstream SMMEs as well as the informal sector in the EPR schemes value chain. So hence this links to Michelle's question also on the downstream part. It's in two ways. Where there is no participation, it is non-compliance. Where there is no participation, it is non-compliance. And I think there was a question about what the department's plan is about some of the producers or PROs who are not registered. Whether you're a producer or PRO or you are downstream value chain and you're supposed to play a particular role in the EPR implementation and you're not doing as such, there will be measures that will be undertaken. We are from land function and policy unit of the department, but you'll know that there is also the compliance and enforcement unit which sits elsewhere within the department, and we are working together in terms of what areas needs their attention. So before matters get to their attention or being escalated to that level, it's safer that we cooperate in any interventions that needs to be undertaken.
Sorry, Mr. Mkwena, you muted.
My apology, there is load shedding, so when a truck passes by, the connectivity gets bad. But we are working together and we are hoping to have the other colleagues coming in, largely because this also borders the issue of the free riders, something we would want to correct. We are in discussion with the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition on how to strengthen our interventions around this area. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mkwena, for the responses. Colleagues, I see a couple of hands. I see, I think there's about 5 hands that have been raised. So we'll take those 5 questions, then from there we'll then respond. Then the first one, there would be Floris. You may go ahead and ask a question.
Thank you very much. I think my question would be for Mr. Mkwena. And again, this is the first session I'm attending. I know my organization are in continuous, or it's indicated in our internal memos, in continuous bilateral meetings with the department. And I haven't gone through the regulations. So this is just for clarity, just on the way I interpret the session. Let's say an organization, I'm just going to use Telkom, for example. They are not an importer, but they are a retailer or reseller, because the actual importer for a piece of equipment would be Cisco or it would be Apple. And then should Telkom then register in this scenario because they're not an importer, or shouldn't they? And there's a follow-up question to this. For example, and it relates to what we did in the first session on the system, where you have to indicate the tonnage and the tonnage taken off market. So if I take as an example, Apple phone, for example, Telkom doesn't import it, it resells it from Apple. That goes through a chain of resellers until it eventually gets to a consumer. What happens with that and getting it off the market cannot be determined by Telkom itself. And then there's other complications, like that Apple cell phone might switch over to become to run on an MTN network. Then it's totally out of the hand of a Telkom entity. So how do the department envisage handling these intricate areas? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Floris, for your question. Mr. Mkwena will respond to your question, but let's take these three questions then before Mr. Mkwena responds. I think I see there's a hand from Delon Roberts. You may ask your question, Delon.
Thank you, through you, Chair. The concern is that compliance companies must now include these fees into their costing, and ultimately the consumer will end up paying for it, as the regulation says that it must be listed as a separate line item on the invoices. However, the problem is, by complying, we will now also be placing ourselves out of the market. What is the department going to do to address this? And what about once-off importers? How would you ensure that they'll become registered and comply? With that said, would a duty at the time of import not be a better solution to the current means of collecting ERP fees? Thank you.
Thanks, Delon. Let's take the last two questions before we ask Mr. Mkwena to respond. There's a question. There's a hand from Michelle again. Michelle, I see your hand is up. You may ask your question.
Thank you. I didn't quite get the answer I was looking for from Mr. Mkwena, so I would like to just repeat myself. From an E perspective, will recyclers or refurbishers, waste pickers in the downstream be limited the way producers are to registering with one PRO, and I'm talking EEE only, okay? So as to avoid a recycler presenting an invoice to multiple PROs for the same tonnage being processed by them. I did put the question in the chat as well.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for your question. The last question before we allow Mr. Mkwena to respond is from, I think, see there's a hand from Andre. Andre, you may ask your question.
Yeah, it's similar to the previous lady. Also, just want to clarify exactly, because I think the answer wasn't completely clear. When I'm involved in enterprise development, which we have put two recyclers in place, I spend investment on those recyclers to actually put them in place, and planning to do so this year as well. Can I offset that investment money from my EPR payment? That was basically my question.
Thanks, Andre. Thanks for the question. And Mr. Mkwena, I'm sure if you could assist with some of the responses. Over to you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Chair. I think starting with the latest question, or the latter question, is you are able to, this is between the producer and the PRO, to offset the fees or money that are duly supposed to be recovered from your side, and also after I'm just thinking in line with the other question. Where there is no, because this offsetting should be based on no other way or means of recovering the fee, then you can offset it from your PRO. The other one on the downstream claiming, I think it's from Nisha, from more than one PRO. This is quite an anomaly and something that there has to be mechanisms that are put in place to ensure that there is no such happening where the downstream claim for more than once. But the reason and the approach is that if they offer one PRO a service and bill the PRO for that service, I don't see a reason why they should go to another PRO for which they didn't offer a service or agree on a service and submit a claim. So the fact that the services are received on the one side, that's why the invoice should be processed. While they can collect other material and supply the next PRO, in that case, it can be two or more than one PRO's service, but with different material and different services, they are supposed to be receiving payment for those. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Mokoena, for the responses. Just to add, there was also
there might be one chair which we are missing. You can remind me.
Yes.
The question missing.
In fact, there's two chair. The first one was I think from Flores regarding the importer. He made an example of Telkom to say Telkom is not necessarily an importer. Then he referred, I think he made mention of Apple as an importer, asking that in terms of registration, who registers between the two? Because according to his explanation, Telkom is more of a retailer. So then he wanted to question in terms of who then registers. Then there was also a question from Delon where I'm not sure if I understood him well, but he mentioned that when it comes to, the EPR fee payment by the importers, he mentioned of having the EPR fee as a line item on the receipt, and also when it comes to importers, it mentioned some form of a once-off payment, if that could also assist. I'm not sure. Yeah, only those two questions, Mr. Mokoena, if you can provide maybe clarity to those. Thanks.
Thanks a lot for that. Maybe starting with the Apple Telkom situation, the importer in this case, because the Apple product will be from elsewhere outside the country. So in that way, the importer is the one who introduces the product to the market, and hence the fee having to be paid. No problem if the product changes hands during the value chain, because the fee would have been paid initially. As long as there is confirmation that the fee and indication that the fee is paid, there shouldn't be double charges. Otherwise, you're running a risk of double charges and payments if you want to introduce it as a change hands from one network provider to the other. The question around method of collecting the fee, I think is a good question. We have adopted the current approach after robust and detailed consultations. But because we're starting on EPR, there is nothing wrong stopping us from engaging on such to see what options are there and what best suits our situation. For instance, on tires, you'll recall we started with a fee collected by the PRO, and then we moved to a levy collected by SARS. Hence, that's the current status quo. Here, we have a different system again, a fee collected by the PRO. So this is not the last engagement on it, and also on our EPR implementation. I take it that we'll continue having discussions on how to improve our scheme generally, including discussions on how to look at the revenue generating part. I think another interesting part was a question we got similar to this one was, why don't we charge a fee on producers that are operational, or we charge a fee per production? And again, is one of those that after we have set the system the way it is. But let's continue engaging on such to see how we improve on our system. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkwena, for the responses. Colleagues, I hope he answered your questions. I see there's also a couple of hands again. Maybe let's see there's 3 hands. Let us take all 3 of them, and after that, then we provide responses. There's I see Rodam Evans. You go in first and ask your question. Rodam.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I think I have exactly the same concern as Delon. Sorry if I'm not saying your name correctly. We as importers, as an electrical or a lighting supplier specifically, the cost of landing the product relative to what it appears this levy is going to be is going to, put us out by 20% in comparison to your free riders. And you're going to have, in the electrical industry, you've got thousands of them, not 1 or 2. You've got them everywhere. Every corner you turn, there's another one. Now, all of us who are the bigger companies who are saying, okay, we'll pay that amount of money. We want to support it because we see the reason behind it. We are no longer competitive. We can no longer sell in South Africa. So what ends up happening is all the big companies who are hiring a lot of people are now going out of business, because all your little guys are coming in and selling a lamp for half the price we can. And that's only because we can't get there. So the way I see it is that the concept from Delon is the reality. The only way you're going to do it fairly and get it to everybody is actually to do it through SARS or some form of SAPS or whoever's going to manage it. But it can't be done by the PROs if you want it to be fair and across the board. And that's it. Thanks.
Thanks, Rodam, for the question. Let's move on to Floris. Floris, I see your hand is up. You may ask a question.
Thank you. I concur with Delon and the previous speaker. Mine is just back to my example, and I'll use a different example than Apple. Cisco South Africa, for example, imports thousands of routers, where Telkom, for example, or MTN, whoever becomes the reseller. So in that case, I assume that Cisco then is actually the producer, and then MTN or Telkom is not an entity playing a role in this. But the dilemma sits with MTN, Vodacom, whoever resells that to a consumer or to a different retailer who then on-sells that to a final consumer. Then in another part of the regulation, it speaks about the reporting, and it would be possible for Cisco, for example, to report on the tonnage of the equipment introduced to the market, but because the final consumer disposes of this on their own, How can it be expected then of Cisco as the importer or producer to report on the tonnage taken off the market because it's not within their control? Have the department considered these intricacies?
Thanks, Floris, for your question. Can move on to Andre. I see you, Andre. Your hand is up, Andre. Adri, sorry. Adri.
Sorry. Is it Audrey or Andre?
It's Adri. Adri Spangerbach.
Okay. Audrey, go for it.
Are you there, Adri? Colleagues, it seems as if maybe we not hearing. Okay. I see you. Adri, over to you.
Audrey, you are muted.
Okay. No, thanks. I will give.
Oh, sorry. My unmuted mic didn't want to work. Oh my
Okay, no
goodness.
problem, ma'am. You may ask a question.
I nearly broke my laptop. It's Audrey here from Iwaza, mostly for the paper and packaging sector, but I'm glad I'm here today because I'm learning a lot. I just want to ask, please, it goes together with some of the questions that have been asked, and it's really about the value chain. I think it all stems from the producer being quite a broad definition, and I understand why the definition is broad, because obviously the full value chain is responsible. And how I understand it, and please tell me if I'm wrong, is that the producer is the importer, brand owner, retailer, converter, manufacturer, etc. But in this full value chain, only one point will be the pay point. And it is up to the value chain or to the PRO or to the producer who has their own PRO scheme or EPR scheme to determine at which point in that value chain the fee is actually going to be levied at, thereby making sure that we don't double dip. It is complicated because then you have to check as a buyer or as a distributor, is your customer or is your supplier registered? Is the levy included or not? If not, it is your responsibility because you are also a producer as a brand owner. So that is how I understand it. And it is complicated because some intricacies, as the gentleman from Vodacom was saying, is that it really becomes complicated. And then, so I just want to understand that. And then one other question is, the way I also look at it is try and register or have the payment as close to the end of the value chain as possible, because if the brand owner puts the weight of the product onto the market, that is closest to where you know what is going onto the market. Because if you look at the importer, it might be, some weight might be added down the process. And that is where the 10 tons is also an issue, because if you put the 10 tons at the importer, you might slip through the whole cracks, and that doesn't level the playing field, because at the end of the day, the brand owner right at the end sees, oh, we were under 10 tons. But meanwhile, his number was far more than 10 tons. So that's kind of the few ideas or just questions that I want to put out. Thank you.